Okay, this section, time management in retail. Are you overworked and overstressed, burning the candle at both ends, being shuttled from pillar to post, perhaps carrying too many items on your to-do list over to the next day? Are you trying to balance your personal and professional life and not doing a very good job of it? Well, you can join the club. The majority of people today will answer yes to all or most of these questions. In fact, right now, you're probably thinking of what else you could or should be doing while you're listening to this DVD. Multitasking is a required skill these days. People have a desire to manage time. It's almost an obsession. How many times have you said or heard these? I need more time. What time is it? How long will this take? What time will you be ready? I haven't had time to do it. Don't waste my time. The list goes on indefinitely. Most of us think we don't have enough time to get everything done. That may be true, and of course it may not be. It's difficult to know for sure. In straightforward cases, no problem. Like when you have to write a 30-page report on thermodynamics in 5 minutes, and you know nothing whatsoever about that subject. Then it's clearly ridiculous. You just don't have enough time to do that in the time allotted. But what about the regular tasks and projects you have to get done? All of the activities you need to take part in. Is there truly not enough time, or is it our use of time, our approach to it, that makes it appear that there isn't enough time? Well, let's see if we can figure out a way to stop feeling like we don't have enough time, or at least become a little better at managing it. Let's see if we can find a way to get off the hamster wheel, moving faster and faster, never reaching the end of what needs to be done. One thing we know for sure is that time never changes. It plods ahead perfectly at 60 seconds a minute, 60 minutes an hour, 24 hours a day, and so on. You have the same number of hours today as you did yesterday. You have the same number of hours available as your colleagues do, as your boss does, and as your neighbors do. It's our use of time that is going to make the difference. Haste makes waste. This saying is worthy of some discussion at this point. You'll hear talk about moving faster, getting more done, multitasking, etc. And increasing your personal speed is one of the things we'll get to today, but it always pays to remember that moving faster and getting more done at the expense of quality, at the expense of a job properly done, or appropriate attention paid to something or someone, really isn't getting time under control. In fact, it will make things worse, due to the time you'll have to spend to put things right again. So it's a good saying, but perhaps it should be rephrased more like, haste sometimes make waste. Don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. Here's another saying we want to deal with before going any further. Generally speaking, this is a great way to handle things, except when it means that you work well into the night, losing precious hours of sleep, to get something done that could easily have been handled the next morning, after a good night's rest. Still, it's an age-old saying that has a lot of merit. There are a lot of people working in a number of industries that just can't use all of the standard time management techniques that are out there, and retail is certainly one of them. To a limited extent, retail managers at head office level can use standard time management techniques, but even still, if they are in the field as often as they should be, they will not be able to operate at peak effectiveness by following those techniques alone. Consider some of the obvious differences. 24/7, the inbox, the door, the telephone, the luxury of planning, customers' arrival time, the number of customers who arrive, schedules, staff schedules, shift work, job sharing, and communication. It's a world that rarely rests. Things are happening all the time. Think of how difficult it can be to schedule and plan a sales conference, a store staff meeting, an inventory count, a significant repair or maintenance, a system upgrade. Even merchandising sometimes takes place in the middle of the night. You'll probably agree that until you've worked in retail, with experience at all levels, it would be difficult to comprehend the vast number of details involved with trying to plan meetings and other events when you're open 24/7. Retail managers at store level, district, and even regional level often do not have an inbox that stops having things added to it at 5 p.m. In other professions, a manager can work on an extra hour or two, handle everything in the inbox, and then go home knowing he'll start the next day with an empty inbox. What a great feeling that would be. You see, his colleagues, clients, finished around 5 p.m. and won't start producing inbox items until about 9 a.m. the next morning. But retail doesn't stop producing inbox items very often. If there is a do not disturb function on a retail manager's phone, it should probably be removed. When customers call a store, the phone has to be answered. When store staff call a district manager or a head office manager, again, the phone should be answered. This section of the DVD addresses time management, so I don't want to get too far off track by getting into internal or external customer service issues. A retail manager's time is dictated by others to a larger extent than other managers, mainly due to the nature of retail, as we've been discussing. And this is a store level example, but schedules and plans do get hijacked often at all levels throughout the retail organization. In retail, we need to work differently when it comes to managing our time. We need to learn how to manage our time using some best practices in a somewhat uncontrolled environment. The first thing retailers need to do is ask, what does success look like? We need to know what it looks like in order to identify the success factors that we need to deal with. If success in your position means meeting sales and profit targets and maintaining a reputation for excellence in customer service, then some of your success factors would be generating sales, reducing expenses, succession planning, for examples. Once we're aware of our success factors, we can begin to plan the time and actions necessary to achieve. For example, meeting sales targets is a top success factor, so we need to make our plans with that in a high priority spot. Perhaps we clear a spot at the beginning of each day to review results and talk to people about the results or take required actions. Of course, that's just one of the things that must be planned for this particular top success factor. There are many, many other things that will demand your attention, things that need to be done to actually make sales happen. If succession planning is a top success factor for you, that needs to get a high priority spot also. That may mean regular follow-up with human resources and store management personnel to find out how the succession plan looks and where the holes are, if any. It may require allocating time for interviews or training, etc., and so on with all of your top success factors. When you place a high priority on top success factors and you review and follow up with subordinates on that basis, it can leave no doubt in their minds as to what the top priorities are to you. They see that you are not wasting time on trivial issues. You are getting straight to the issues that affect your top success factors, and the majority of your time will be spent on things that will affect the outcomes of your top success factors. Of course, you'll still have to deal with many other things that indirectly affect your top success factors, and that covers pretty much everything else that goes on in the organization. One way or another, most things will have some effect on sales, profits, and customer service. Here's a 14-step process that works for retail managers. Determine how much time you spend on various activities. Make a list of all of the things you routinely take care of during a normal day, week, month, and assign a number of minutes or hours to each one. This exercise will draw your attention to things that are taking up too much of your valuable time. Awareness of this will assist you in determining which activities can be stopped altogether, delegated, or combined with other activities to save time. You'll also see just how much of your time is spent on things that you did not and could not control. You'll see just how uncontrolled your work life really is. Figure out how your personal speed measures up. People who get a lot done are moving fast most of the time. It's difficult, in fact, to get them to slow down. Try walking through a mall with a high-achieving go-getter of a district manager, and you'll probably be out of breath in no time. If you find that you're moving a little on the slow side, you just need to put a bit more energy into everything you do. Move a little faster. Each day, get a little faster. This applies to getting things done as well as decision making. Step number 3, define goals. Goals will include, but are not limited to, your top success factors. In any case, they need to be well defined so that you can clearly see what kind of time allotment and resources will be needed to reach them. Prioritize. Any activity or task that will not move you closer to your achievement in your top success factors is not worthy of investment of your time. Keep a log of what you are doing with your time for a couple of weeks and then review it to make sure that all of your time has, in fact, been spent on top success factors. Work with to-do lists. Daily or weekly, a to-do list must be created. It must include only those things that you have deemed to be priorities based on your top success factors. Others may inadvertently influence your to-do list unless you are very careful. Just remember whose to-do list it is. And why is it important to use a to-do list? Well, we can't necessarily keep everything in our memory, and even if we could, why waste the brain space when you can jot it down on paper? Seeing the list of things written down on paper helps you to prioritize. Any possible duplication of effort can be seen at a glance with a to-do list, and you get the satisfaction of striking things off that list as they're accomplished. Treat everything as an appointment. Make a plan for your day, week, or month as if you are creating appointments. That is to say, if you plan to do something at 9:30 a.m., and have scheduled that activity as a 45-minute appointment, then do it in the 45 minutes you have scheduled it for. Appointments should have a start and a finish time and can't be left open-ended. Be stingy with time allocation. Any activity, task, project, or meeting can easily expand to use up all of the time allotted to it, and sometimes more. For this reason, schedule on the short side. Things tend to be handled more efficiently and effectively when a tighter time frame is in place. Organize and declutter. In retail, as we've said, you must be highly organized. You need a system for reducing clutter of your space and of your mind, and for easy retrieval of documents and information. If your life is full of clutter, your brain is confused and is probably actually preventing you from getting things done. Make a point of regularly clearing out junk that you don't need or use anymore. Stuff at home and work should be thrown out if it is not useful to you. You should actually schedule this clutter removal appointment once a month or even as often as once a week. Delegate. Presumably, you have competent people working for you, so you should be able to delegate according to their particular strengths and availability. Even if you need to break a larger project down into smaller, more manageable pieces, it will help you and it will help in the development of your people. You'll need to consider these things when deciding what to delegate. Is it a repetitive task? And if a bad decision is made regarding this issue, what is the impact? Is it easily reversed? Will it negatively affect others? Will it be expensive for the company to correct or reverse? And say no. Although it is not always possible, you need to know how to determine what you should say no to. If someone asks you to take on a project or task that will not necessarily advance your cause or contribute to your top success factors, then you need to say no. If you find there is no alternative but to accept the project or task, then you need to look for items on your to-do list that can be moved to another time slot or appointment time, or which can be delegated. Remain flexible and reschedule often. You will need to allow for the unexpected. The idea of planning your work and working your plan is a very good one, but sometimes you will just have to be flexible. So when the need arises, be prepared to reschedule. A retail chain has so many moving parts, particularly customers, shopping patterns, desires, and behaviors, that you just must be prepared to reschedule. Allow yourself some scheduled unproductive time. It doesn't sound right, I know, but it's important. This is what will keep you going. We can't have every minute of every day pinned down, planned to the second. Sometimes we have to just enjoy whatever it is. And don't let what you can't do stop you from doing what you can do. Sometimes it's impossible to embark on a big project. Maybe you have limited resources. Maybe the expected outcome is still a bit uncertain. For whatever reason, you just know you can't get that big project done. You can, however, start on small parts of that big project. The the parts that you are able to get done and that will be useful when it comes time to get the big project underway. In fact, if you work at it that way, you might just find that the big project has suddenly taken care of itself. Sleep early, wake up early, and take good care of your health. The early bird gets the worm. In our case, the early riser gets more done while they are still energetic. It's a great feeling to know that some people are just lounging around still in their beds while you have already accomplished half of your to-do list. As far as your health goes, we don't profess to know enough about the human body and its nutritional requirements to provide advice on that topic. Suffice to say, you must take good care of your health, and if you want to operate at the top of your game and make the best use of all of your waking hours, eat a healthy diet, get some exercise, schedule your regular medical checkups, and generally be kind to yourself.